Well, do you remember when Democrats insisted Trump was going to tank the economy?
It was very clear that these tariffs are going to be passed on to American consumers and are going to slow down the economy.
The best hope for our economy is that there will be enough damage to markets quickly that the administration is led to correct.
They have created havoc in our economy that was improving, and now we have people out there scared to death.
Well, it appears they got it wrong. Trump's economic policies are actually working. But listen to this. Listen to who they are working for. There's a blue-collar boom happening.
Blue-collar wage growth, the only other time it's been this high, wait for it, was during President Trump's first term. So we've seen real wages for hourly workers, non-supervisory workers, rise almost 2% in the first 5 months.
Why is that?
No president has done that before.
Wow, listen to that. Well, Kevin Hassett, National Economic Council Director, joins me now. Kevin, great to speak with you. They say this is the largest increase of blue-collar wages in nearly 60 years. What do you attribute that to?
Right. Well, what's happening is, and by the way, it's great to be here. I was in the Oval with the president going over the big, beautiful bill, and I was thinking, where's Kayleigh? She should be in the back all those times up there. But in any case.
Oh, thank you.
The fact is that the big, beautiful bill is already having a big, beautiful effect because everybody's onshoring jobs, building factories, making commitments to send trillions of dollars of new investments into the U.S., and they're doing that before the bill is even passed. But we expect that the bill will pass the Senate next week and that it'll be signed by the 4th of July. And when that happens, not only will that momentum continue, but people are going to see a big, big tax cut. So if you get paid time and a half on overtime, then you're going to be taxed on the time, but not the half. If you get tips, then you're not going to be taxed on those tips. If you're a Social Security person who's getting taxed on some income because you're maybe taking an extra job, you're not going to be taxed on that. And so all of this is going to add even more juice into the economy. And so you think right now we're looking at GDP growth for the second quarter about 4%, real wage growth that's unprecedented in 60 years, and that's even before the bill is passed. And finally, you led with all this scaremongering about tariffs. Think about it. While this is going on, inflation right now is lower than it's been in 4 years, and that's by every single measure. And so these people who say the tariffs are going to cause inflation and harm the economy, they got both things wrong.
Yeah, Kevin, the naysayers were wrong. Those were great days in the Oval Office with you and President Trump. And let me remind you about something that happened during the first term. I remember being on Air Force One and this Wall Street Journal op-ed broke, and I couldn't believe it. It was in September of 2020, and it was about the year before the pandemic, and it was about wage growth. And it was about how wage growth under Trump the year before the pandemic went up more than $4,000, double what it had gone up under the Obama administration. But what was interesting is the groups it went up for. Hispanics, Black Americans, Asians, foreign-born workers got greater wage increases than everyday Americans, groups that don't often see this kind of wage growth. So do you anticipate a Trump term 2? We see these historically marginalized groups getting huge paychecks.
Oh, of course they will. And you know what? If you look back during the really effective Trump policies of the previous administration, that if you go back and look, then income inequality, which is the thing that the far left folks have been telling us is the most important metric of society, that there completely is. Income inequality dropped by more than it had since the Second World War. And it was precisely because President Trump is focused like a laser beam on blue-collar workers and their welfare. And I got to tell you, I've seen you stick up for President Trump on shows on Fox. And I got to say that the things that you've been saying, I'll confirm about the meeting today. We were going over the tax bill basically line by line at his desk, and he had things to say about all the nuances of the tax bill. And so he is digging into the weeds. He is getting briefed on everything. It's the complete opposite of the previous administration under President Biden. And he's doing this because he's trying to make America great again, and he's trying to, make wages great again and reduce inequality and make growth break records.
He's very much into the specifics. And one final question for you, because I say this to people and they literally don't believe me. The Trump tax cuts, when you look at the data, if you make between $15,000 and $50,000, you got a tax cut between 16 and 26%, every single group.
Correct.
So voting against the big, beautiful bill is voting for tax increases on people making as little as $50,000, Kevin.
It is. And if you vote against the bill, then you're voting against the Golden Dome. You're voting against a secure border. If you vote for the bill, then you're voting for all that growth. And this time, you remember the $4,000 number that we talked so much about, that was written about in that Wall Street Journal editorial you mentioned. The number now is $10,000, Kaylee. $10,000 is what we're going to see in wage growth because of this bill. And that $10,000 is going to come in part because of things like the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. And so the other thing I love about President Trump's policies, think about this, that he does these things that the left say it's a catastrophe. And like you never saw, like you just saw Larry Summers on TV talking about how terrible it's going to be. He didn't mention that income inequality went down under President Trump. But what's going to happen is these policies are going to work. And then at some point in the future, maybe Democrats win again. Seems unlikely, but it could happen. But they're not going to reverse these policies because they work for ordinary folks. They can't do that. And so the no tax on overtime, that's going to happen forever.
Exactly.
The no tax on tips, that's going to be there forever. The no tax on Social Security, that's going to be there forever.
What a legacy to leave behind. You know, Kevin Hassett, it's great to talk to you. The left is the party of lower wages and higher taxes. Wow, what a platform. Kevin, thank you.
Higher income inequality.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.